All right, here with Steve to speak on another one of our skills. It's called breathing mindfully. Steve, breathing mindfully is our ability to take slow, conscious, full breaths with the choice to move our breathing patterns to bring us down into that zone of comfort, a place from which we can then make an informed decision. Breathing is a unique skill because it is both autonomic meaning it happens without us consciously thinking, and it's a skill that we can consciously control. When I say breathing mindfully, what do you think of?
I think of being conscious of what I'm doing automatically, and to do it, just the simple act of doing it more purposefully, I think allows me to do it more fully. So that's what it means.
Fantastic. And to speak a little bit more on what's happening within our bodies is that sometimes we are operating from an elevated or heightened cortisol level. But when we're reacting for the sort of the lower part of our brainstem, the limbic system, where we're in a freeze, flight, or even recently I heard fold mode, which is not necessarily serving us well. When we take our full conscious breath, we can actually move ourselves back into coherence and access the more rational or the frontal cortex from which we can move through all the progressions to ultimately and hopefully make the best decisions. Would you mind taking a mindful breath with me now? Coaching it is this way. We like to think about putting our hand on our heart and one hand on our belly. And when we do what we call a full breath, we're expanding our full lung capacity. When we breathe in, it's actually our belly hand that rises first. So we'll just do 3 breaths together here, breathing in and out. And just notice what you notice breathing in and out. Now, Steve, what do you notice about yourself or the room around you?
I notice that there's actually more space in the room than I thought there was, and that there's more calm inside me than I thought there was. It's just, in fact, if you think about it, it's always there, right? The inner calm and the outward space, it's always there. But you have to notice it. You have to take the time to be present to it.
Fantastic, Steve. That inner domain, the resilience as a resource for ourselves. And you talked about one of our other skills, the noticing, right? And that dance between both breathing and the conscious choice to notice, how that interplay serves us. What do you think is the reason why we ask people to breathe mindfully as a stepping stone or way in to finding center?
Well, I think in many cases, before you start again on anything, you have to stop, right? And the breathing is a way to put a little bit of gentle braking on wherever your mind has been going, past minute or hour or what have you. And so it allows you to reset.
Great. And have you heard of breathing mindful or mindful practices? And what and how does it apply in your life, or what and how do you use it?
Well, I don't use it enough. I can tell you that.
Great. That's part of the awareness we're trying
to
bring forward.
But when I, believe it or not, my mom in the late 70s got into this thing called biofeedback. And we would do these exercises where she would monitor brain waves as she would tell us stories to kind of calm down and go deeper and all that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit of part of my upbringing. And so it makes me think of that, kind of sort of going back to that practice. And then as also, I take these mental pictures of where I've been, and I try of where I'm going to the beach and seeing the waves or trees in a forest or some beautiful spot. And it allows me to try to go there mentally, if just for a moment.
Right.
As part of
Finding that space, pulling it forward, and riding that breath and that calm to that felt sense that you talked about. You mentioned we always could do it more. And as we invite people to start these resilience practices, my colleague Christy, who you know, talks really about how the practice of breathing mindfully was something that she always used as a pre-event readiness versus a skill that the more she practices it out of routine and moment to moment through everyday life, that skill actually serves her better now than it ever has in the past. Though she had awareness about breath work, it's the regular access and routines and simple practices of using breathing mindfully fully that we then can bring ourselves into center on a regular basis in a new context.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you, Steve, for your sit down about breathing mindfully.
Sure. Thank you.